Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are on planet Earth. This is an update for specifically about what's going on with NATO, America, Russia. Going away from the subject for a moment, yesterday I saw a guy. He was in a shop sort of just as it was about to close, and often the shop seems to have discounted like 50% off food that they're just trying to sell as takeaway. Rather than it go to waste, and there was a guy there without one shoe on. So I made the speculative assumption that just sort of summed him up based on the way he was dressed and that he had a backpack and that he was potentially homeless. So I felt this urge inside of me I couldn't be bothered going to buy him a pair of shoes and come back with a pair of shoes. I'd have to know what size he was. So I just walked up to him and started to get a $20 note out. And I said, "How you going, mate? Are you right? Did you lose your shoe? Like, do you need some money to buy a new pair?" He said, "I'm all right, mate. I don't need money. I don't need a new pair of shoes." And then he lifted his foot up and he has this injury to it where he had some stitches. So he's just getting around in bare feet to let it breathe. So I was pretty embarrassed at the time. I felt really embarrassed because I thought he was a homeless guy that was living rough and he'd lost a shoe, and I couldn't bear the idea of someone with one shoe, so I wanted to fix it, and he had his shoe in his bag. Anyway, moving on to situation. So we have some very serious stuff going on with Russia and USA. Now America is Russia's number one enemy. And it's interesting because there's been this uptick in using Ukraine as a proxy by supplying them. It's interesting watching how in the world, how big corporation and that governments are servants to, they suck this money to support a war. And they seem to support both sides because at the end of the day, these self-serving, oligarchical, high-ranking, self-serving bastards, I guess you could call them, are only invested in their own interests and not in mass population, which is a little bit disturbing because if we want to get real on Earth, governments need to be serving the people. They need to be in service to the population, to the community, to the populations. As we know, like, depending on the degree of infiltration, there's dictatorships, and ultimately what could be coming if the wrong side wins this war will be a dystopia, a technological dystopia. That's what we're heading for. So this technocratic war that is going on now, that ultimately will involve Taiwan over the microprocessing chips, with where everything's going with AI, blockchain, and tokenized real assets that are tokenized on the blockchain attached to cryptocurrencies and ETFs. So basically, NATO might be sending some American jet fighters or something over, and also some long-range missiles that can reach probably all parts of Russia. So now Russia is in the Caribbean with a couple of subs and at least 4, I don't know what you call them, boats, destroyers, whatever they're called. They can't find at least one sub. It's off about 150 kilometers off Florida, hiding. There's no claim that they're carrying nuclear warheads, but there was something said about testing of supersonic weaponry. So the interesting thing about this is how it's escalating to this point. The nuclear threat clock, it's no longer at 11 p.m. or anything. It's actually at midnight. It's at 0. And it's funny, but like, we're like frogs that have slowly been boiled. If this had happened 3 or 4 years ago, just suddenly, it would have been a big scare in the media. And in fact, the media is not really paying attention to this. We also have banks doing runs in Cuba at the same time, which is interesting. So Russia could be sharing nuclear weapons with Cuba, Iran, Venezuela, possibly Mexico, North Korea. Not that they need them. You can see where this is going. And on Sunday, the Saudi Arabian, the 50-year deal that President Nixon basically signed the whole world onto, that everyone must trade through oil and gas through the US dollar. It's called the US petrodollar, as you all know. That ended on and was not renewed on Sunday, just gone. So the US petrodollar now is closed and no longer exists, essentially, which means that right now every nation on the planet can rewrite contracts to import and export oil, petroleum to their own ends without having to worry about going through the US dollar. So this will ultimately, as you should understand, will be the collapse of the US dollar, because this is also an economic war, and part of it is to collapse the US dollar and shift into digital assets. So collapse of the old fiat system, the US dollar, and moving into digital. And those who are invested in not serving greater humanity but serving only themselves want to go to central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. So everyone has to have the mark of the beast, basically through their pocket phone, basically with digital license, digital everything. So the only way you can buy or sell will be digitally. So that'll be the end of cash and everything. And if it gets in the wrong hands, which it pretty much already is, but then depending on who wins this war, I believe if Russia and China, I know China's got this social credit system which is part of them, but I think if Russia wins this war, if Israel has to put its borders back to the old 1964 and rename themselves Judea and abolish the name Israel out of shame for repeating what Germany. Only way Israel survives is basically through funding from the USA and the US dollar. Same thing for Ukraine. So once America has collapsed, they'll no longer be able to throw that money. So there will be a big shift on the planet with the whole monetary system and who controls the world, basically, and borders will change, just like in World War II. So this is all coming very, very quickly. So I think a lot of people think that Russia is bluffing that they would use nukes. I don't think they are. And I mean more likely tactical nukes, if I'm using the right terminology. Tactical, I believe, are not the ones that traditionally are catastrophic with radioactive fallout, but can basically wipe everything out within a 6-kilometre ground area with a big mushroom cloud. I'll give you an example. If Russia saw an imminent threat by NATO, the deliverance of a heap of F-15s or whatever they are to Ukraine to be able to fly in and target areas of Russia, along with missiles that can reach far into Russia, Russia as a nation, as its own nation, would consider an imminent threat something that has to be dealt with. It's like if someone's pointing a gun at you and you could die, then you'll shoot first in order to not be shot. So under the same context, I believe that Russia would use strategic. I can't remember if it's strategic or tactical, but it's the ones that aren't as catastrophic with radioactive fallout. So the non-radioactive nukes that don't have the radiation, and you could just completely wipe out a whole area that would block America from attacking Russia. Something like that. But I just want to play you something, and I'll reword it myself. But, I've got some information here, and I'll just try and read it back to you. So it's good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. United States Republic, Patriots. Good evening, Europe, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand. We just wanted to say hi, love and light. We're never out of touch. We told you you're not alone, and you are fine. Please understand, certain media are doing certain things right now, an acceleration during wartime. Title 50, Chapter 33, Resolution Act. Space Force Command, the biggest military force of our divine human species. Preparations. You need to know during wartime. President, Commander-in-Chief. Mr. T. During wartime, we of course control and censor media. All social media, televisions, radio stations, controlled by US Space Force. Everything you read, write, whatever you read in the public domain, including all fake news platforms, former state television, former radio, controlled by US Space Force, have special departments, very, very big departments, specialists, script, write and censor public news that you're seeking. Read between the lines, boys and girls. This is the most exciting time to be alive ever. Seeing military operation take out level 2, level 3. Violated 818 and others. Interference, rigged court system. You will see soon what is happening to those people, those corrupt judges. New York or worldwide, don't worry, you're safe. We promise. A promise is a promise. Love and light. Anyway, all right. Nanu, live long and prosper. I don't think I have anything else I want to explain, but yeah, lots of changes going on. Lots of energy shifts. The sun and its solar flares, shifting in consciousness, evolution of humanity, strong light frequencies, residual in the background, and increasing while the dark plays out its programming until finalization, until we are in the new system. Hopefully the new system will be the more positive system than the negative technocratic dystopia that would be like a global digital mind prison for us all. It's very, very possible, but under the right conditions, humanity will be free. And so it is. Namaste, Nanu Nanu, live long and prosper. Bye for now.